Yeah, so yeah, I think whenever we start the show and I'm doing something and it's picture in picture, I think the cutest thing is when it pops up this thing that says let me in or whatever, and or let in or something like that, and it's like this bloop. So it's the cutest thing. So okay, so
Very
let's start
easily
this show.
entertained.
I know I'm such a kid. I'm such a kid sometimes. I just genuinely have these things about me that just, the cutest things just kind of tickles me. But yeah, let's start the show. Hello and welcome to another episode with Infinitely Gem and Tea. I'm Gem
I'm T,
and we are
and
here
welcome to
to
the show.
welcome to the show. I just love, yeah. I every single day. Okay, my microphone needs to be close to my mouth. Yeah, these are all. This is you can tell that this is so very authentic. Nothing is scripted. I've got several microphones, and I'm still fixing my hair and all this other sort of stuff. So we are very authentic here, so you will see lots of things that don't get edited. We're just going to be real and raw. This is just what it is. We're having a conversation about anything and everything. We're bridging the conversation between generations, and we're expressing a lot of things that we have experienced, and healing comes from it. So yeah. How was your day?
Yes.
How was your day? You had some, kind of had some late things going on with you. What's going on?
I woke up late earlier today. I don't know why. I just felt like I just needed to like rest a little bit more. So I woke up at 8:30 and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up. And then I rolled back over and just didn't wake up until like 10. And then I
You
woke
know,
up fully rested and like I took my hair down. I had like locks in. I took my hair down. And like there's something about getting that sleep with just like your hair. It just it's different.
yeah, it's really interesting. We had some similar things going on. I woke up kind of late. I had a client earlier this morning. I wear several hats. I have different things that I do. And I'm a virtual assistant, and I forgot that I had a client this morning, and we both overslept. So that was indication to me that we needed to listen to our body and have that rest. We need that rest. And,
Hmm.
we meet pretty much every day to discuss her calendar and things like that. And so it's interesting that we woke up late. We had some things that kind of threw us off schedule. I didn't do my
Hmm.
morning walk. I do another thing called Morning Walk Talks on TikTok. I'm just into so many different things and just being expressive. And one of the things that like really stood out for me for this past week was this song. Express yourself. I can't remember Dwight something or the other. It's a song from back in the day. Express
Mm.
yourself. Do
Oh
it
yeah.
good. Express yourself. And so that was kind of like, I don't know, that might be our theme song. What do you think? I don't know.
Workshop it, maybe. We'll see. We'll see about copyrights.
No, because I really, yeah, we need to look into that, because that was something that really kind of stuck with me this week. And I
Mm,
study, we talk about this all the time. I study astrology, cardiology, numerology, and there's just some things that are coming into alignment. We're in the age of Aquarius, and society and all these things that are coming up to the surface for us to kind of take a look at and heal. The only side that I don't particularly care for is the fact that a lot of people, with the news being what it is, with our government and with the trial that's going on with the entertainer, I don't
mm,
want to give it too much credit and put too much energy into that. But, taking a look at that, that's an indication that's what's happening in the collective, and something that we as a society need to take some sort of action and maybe talking about it. I don't
mm-hmm.
know. I think that when people talk about it, they lean so much to the sensational side of the negative side, and that seems to be what keeps people's attention. But I think that there should be productive conversations on how we can resolve this, and have some change that happens. So that's just my little spiel on what's happening in the world that kind of got my attention, and me expressing myself. I kind of went off, and as we
Yeah,
always
you
do.
had something. You had a tidbit that I was going to say something to it, and then I
Express
forgot.
yourself.
No. It was something else. Oh no. I was saying we could have like a song of the week. Is what I was thinking.
Let's,
Yeah.
you know what, let me get my trusty notebook out. Yeah, this is definitely, this is my notebook that I have right now. I don't know if you can see it. It says Wild at
She's
Heart.
super cute.
She's
Yes.
super
She's super
cute, very
cute. Super
demure, very demure.
cute. All right, so
No,
song of the week is Express Yourself.
express yourself. We need to look into that, and and see about, maybe, I don't know, I think that we can do it where there's like a snippet, you can do a few bar. I don't know how that works. We're gonna have to look into it as we grow, which I know we will. It's going to be this
Yeah.
progression, and we're going to be at different levels, and yeah, maybe we'll have the opportunity to do that.
I think you can
Yeah.
do like 5 seconds of a song without like having to worry about the copyright or something.
Yeah, and I know that there's some
Yeah.
sort of option here onto the side where they have different media, so maybe we can upload like a snippet and then play. I don't know. We're just, to our listening audience, we are brainstorming and expressing ourselves and all these other things all at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So this is a very unique show. We're showing you everything. So, but yeah,
Everything.
everything. Um,
Everything.
yeah. Oh, and another thing too. Yeah, I am wearing my hat. As you can see, it has U.S. Army. Someone gave this to me. I am a veteran. I am a U.S. Army veteran, and I'm wearing it today for one reason and one reason only. My hair is I wear my hair natural and it's in twists, and I didn't take them out last
Mm.
night because I had intention on flat ironing it and then trimming the ends. But yeah, so this is
Oh,
what you
she's
get.
doing a tram. Oh, I remember you saying since it's the full moon today in Sagittarius is good for your haircut. That's what you were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it said that the best time to cut your hair is during a full moon, because that's where you are
Mm.
shedding some things, getting rid of some things, and that's something that can be, considered a ritual, symbolic. And then, I always have things that I set intentions for. I do follow the moon cycle because I understand a little bit enough of astrology to make it beneficial to myself and to kind of, be able to move with the ebb and flow of what's happening in the collective. So,
Mm.
as a collective, the full moon in Sagittarius, is about releasing some things, maybe releasing some inhibitions, because Sagittarius, I believe that energy for that sign, some of the characteristics is, kind of focusing, zoning in on something and taking the opportunity to, move forward with it, or being, explorative. It's the ninth house. The ninth house
Mm.
is about journeys and spirituality, higher learning, and things like that. So that's just a snippet of what I know. I'm not an astrologist. I'm someone who
Yeah.
is an enthusiast who studies it. And I do see the significance. I do see that there can be a lot of advantages of understanding these sciences, so we can kind of move in society, because we came into this incarnation to, live this experience, good, bad, and indifferent, however
Mm.
you choose to look at it. So yeah. But so I think that today, I want to focus on expressing yourself. I want to focus on, expressing yourself, being your authentic version of yourself. I think that when we are focusing on things within ourselves, which is the healing, the self awareness,
Mm.
the self development, which is what this channel, this podcast is about. I feel like when we come into an understanding and we get more comfortable and we kind of shed some of the programming that has been in place for us to be a certain way, and, the masses have to follow this guide, this rule, this way of being. I think a lot of us are breaking free from that. What are your thoughts?
I think so too, especially the younger generation, all of the I wouldn't say I wouldn't call them like limitations, but I will say the structure that the some of the older generations have set, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the newer generation is breaking. So even
Mm-hmm.
in the way of like how you have your income or how you choose to express yourself, like we're a lot I feel like the younger generation is a lot more free in a sense that although they care about what people say, they still put themselves out there and they still find a way to express something authentic about themselves. And I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
do feel like as much as they struggle with as much as I feel like younger generation, like even my generation, kind of struggles with that identity thing and expressing yourself. I feel like we still strive to do a little bit of something every day from the
Yeah,
group that I'm with. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and and it looks different for everyone, and it just,
Mm-hmm.
is really dependent upon the company that you keep. And I think a lot of us are being mindful, or coming to the realization of being mindful of the company that we keep, what we are consuming in media, whether it's the news, entertainment, sports, any space that has the ability for them to express themselves, and their opinions and their thoughts. I think that there's a certain level of influence that comes with that, and people are being more mindful about some of the things that they are involving themselves with, and that in terms of those different spaces that we find ourselves consuming, information, entertainment, whatever that
Mm.
is,
I was actually
learning.
just talking about this a couple of days ago with someone that, what is it? Someone mentioned, I was mentioning to someone that I can't watch gory things and I can't watch things that are too intense. So I feel like I'm empathic in
Potentially
general.
triggering.
Yeah. So if
Potentially
anything,
triggering. Hmm.
anything that is like potentially triggering or like I just don't feel comfortable with, I cannot watch. So she was
Hmm.
watching this gory show, and I was just like, I wish I could watch it because it seemed entertaining, and everyone was like talking about it for like days on end. And I told myself like that's not something I can consume. And then I realized like a lot of the things that you do consume in social media, you have to make sure that you're being mindful of what you're ingesting because that goes into your subconscious,
Hmm.
and then that lends into kind of like that self talk and what you're thinking in your brain. And I don't want any type of like negative energy getting in there, like
Right. Right. You're
not
good.
any
You're
more than I have already.
Yeah, yeah, you have an awareness and you're on guard, and you're safeguarding those things that could potentially, be harmful to you. And the other side of that is that if it's still triggering, that maybe there's some work that needs to be done on that. And it's so interesting that you're talking about this, because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I did have a conversation with her, and she's excited that we're doing this podcast and potentially being a guest on the show, and
Mm,
her name is Diamond, and she's on social media. She is, a friend, a mentor to me. She teaches cardology, a little bit of astrology and numerology, all of that kind of folds in there. And we were having a conversation about the newest film that was produced by, Tyler Perry, the movie Straw. And it's interesting that I haven't seen it yet, and I'm choosing not to take a look at it, but I do see a lot of previews about it, and some of the things
mm,
that are coming out there about the single mom. I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, that the single mom, that she's portrayed a certain way, and even though these are truths, it's like it's potentially damaging to continue to put that out there, that this is what, not everyone, that's not everyone's story. It's some
mm,
in people's story, but they keep putting it out there as if it's everyone's story, and not giving an opportunity for that particular story or stereotype to be, shown in a way that's healing, that could
mm,
be potentially a lesson. We don't always have to be portrayed negative. I think a lot of the things that, and I stopped watching a lot of the shows and things that, not necessarily potentially trailing, that are things that no longer align with me. I have grown and I have evolved. That whole struggle thing is not no longer a part of my story, so I choose not to see it. And it it's really interesting that a lot of things that are out there, it's to portray these stereotypes and kind of keep us stuck and locked in a certain way of living and life and experiences. And that's not everybody's experiences. That's just one portion, that's just one part. And there's more
right.
things outside of it that are very uplifting and encouraging, and something to look forward to and to strive for. Some people have never, that even look like us, that don't necessarily have that storyline. They don't fit that stereotype. These are people that are, wealthy, who have the means, and have a certain level of freedom, that's not their story, and we don't see a lot of that. And I want to be able to see a lot more productive productions about our culture, about people of color. People of color are not all downtrodden. We're not all in this slavery mentality. We're all at different levels. And I think that should be shown, that people are waking up, and there are, a lot of people of color who have businesses, who are, in opportunities that are progressive, and they're not just in this low level, low vibrational space. I want to see more of that. And that's a big part of what I'm trying to do here. And
Mm-hmm.
and embody this life experience and show that life experience, like with the travel that I want to do and being a digital nomad and doing some writing. And we're more than just what society and the typical stereotypical things that are out there about people of color. We're more than that.
I
We're
do
more than
think
that.
there is a lot of them out there. I follow quite a few people on like social media where people have came from wealth and they are people of color, and they teach you. This one woman teaches you about like what is it? How would I describe it? She teaches you a little bit of like the social faux pas that she had to go through, or
Mm-hmm.
and like how she had to like learn growing up and being a person of color in wealth. I don't know. It's kind of refreshing to see the other side of things, and it makes
Mm-hmm.
it. I always had like this negative thought when it came to kind of the richest, just because every time you do see them represented, it's always in like a negative way. You ever notice
Mm-hmm.
like most of the
Mm-hmm.
time they're doing something to less fortunate people, or there's like these weird movies where like they'll give you a whole bunch of money if you do unthinkable things. And I used to have like this negative representation of like what wealth is and like the people in that I felt like in that exclusive group is. And then I
Mm-hmm.
took a step back and I started to realize like a lot of it is just, one, it's entertainment, so I shouldn't take it seriously, and two, there are other people that aren't necessarily bad and do really great things with their wealth, and it's not just try to cover up for some of the things that they've probably done in the past. Or what is it, there a lot of people like donate to charity, and sometimes it's a tax write-off, and sometimes people are genuinely interested in these foundations. So to
Yeah,
think of it
philanthropy.
and to think of it in a like kind of like a smaller scope and like grouping all rich people together, I felt like that was a lesson in itself, that wealth doesn't equal uh, evil. Like money isn't associated with evil. It's how you use it and how you use the opportunities that you get with the money. So watching these people, especially people of color and wealth, it kind of opened my eyes to like this new way of thinking, rather than thinking, well, I'm down here and they're up here. We're all equal. We're just on different life plans and life paths and plans. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we have the
it's like really
ability to
refreshing.
create the yeah, we have the ability to create that kind of life that we desire to have and strive for.
Mm.
And a big part of what I've observed is things that are out there in social media, movies, TV that's portrayed. I think a lot of it is by design to keep this level of us against them type of attitude in society,
Mm-hmm.
because that keeps those that have the leverage in that position of authority. Because the more people that start to realize their talent, skills, and ability and have this awareness about themselves, and who are doing the work to develop themselves and evolve and grow to meet and be able to be in society, not just surviving but thriving and really living life experiences and having these freedoms, I think that it's by design that is out there to keep people at a certain level and keep that separation. I think that there's always been this divide, keep them divided so they don't know what's going on, keep them looking over here and going towards this goal so they can see don't see what's happening over here. There's always this sleight of hand that I feel is happening. I see it, people talk about it, they're in pockets of spaces that I see, but not everybody is really coming to, and we all are at different levels, and not everybody is coming to the level of awareness to understand that this is a life to experience in its entirety, and not necessarily uh it doesn't necessarily have to be this us against them type of mentality and grouping, the black against white, rich and poor, educated, non-educated, like the list goes on. And even though we still have this level of there's two sides of the coin, there's two poles. Yeah, they're both present, and they're just different vibrations or different ends of the polarity. uh it's just really a lot of work that you have to put into understanding that it's really an inner self type of job that you have to do to get to these different levels. And we got to stop having this mindset of it's us against them, because we're all in this experience and we can all have the advantages of living life experiences to the highest level that we desire. It's just really interesting. It's a lot put into um to put into perspective, and I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly growing, and back to expressing yourself. Everyone is expressing themselves the best of the way that they know how. But we got to take a look at the information that we're given that leads us to that place, and how we're
Mm-hmm.
processing this information that's out there. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of things that is skewed. And the
Mm-hmm.
view that you had about rich people, you know, I've always, you know, kind of thought the same thing when I was younger,
Right.
because what does the church say? Money is the root of all evil. That seed was planted.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have to unpack a lot of the things that we have to unpack a lot of the seeds that were planted in us that led us to that kind of thinking. And I no
Mm-hmm.
longer think that way, because I've come across people from all walks of life during my travels with work and in several different spaces. And I've seen all sides. I've seen sides of the wealthy, having this attitude that you're beneath them. And I've had
Mm-hmm.
experiences with someone that was wealthy, people that are wealthy, that look just like me, that are very down to earth and caring and loving people with boundaries. Because with
Mm-hmm.
philanthropy, they do a lot, but everyone has these boundaries and these limits that they don't cross. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's healthy to have that in place whenever you do come to a certain level. And I think that's why a lot of these individuals that I did come across that were very down to earth, very giving, very gracious, very generous, and at the same time, they really took care of themselves, and they had a healthy mindset, and they have a healthy mindset, about people, because people are human beings. And I think that's what has kept a lot of those individuals, at this place of not necessarily being humble, but just being very genuine naturally. And then what do they say? Sometimes money enhances who people really are
Mm-hmm.
at their core. And that kind of makes sense to me, you
It's
know.
material. It's a material thing. It's not something that can has the what is it? It doesn't have the capability of turning someone good or evil is what that person does with what they have.
Right, right.
So a lot of times, like you said, it sometimes money just exacerbates the situation and you have the ability to either do really good or really evil, and it's up to the person to choose.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and money, when you think about money, currency, it's a tool. It's a tool to
mhm.
use. And for me, I have come to the realization that I don't really want or necessarily have to have a certain dollar amount to make me happy. I think the certain dollar amount allows for the freedom that I
Yes.
like that comes with it, like the
You want the
travel.
freedom attached to it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is my desire, that is my intention, to have the freedom. And freedom, starts here in the
Mhm.
mind
Mhm. It
and
does.
in your heart. And I'm setting intentions and I'm moving in a certain direction, and I feel good about it, because I do have a certain level of freedom now, that I was able to go on that trip to Barbados. And later on, I'm coming to visit you and your siblings in your prospective places that you're staying, that you're living. And not a lot of people have the luxury of being able to do that, because they're tied to
Mm.
responsibilities or a job or their business that doesn't give them that. So I am creating this environment that allows me to have those freedoms. And
Mm.
I'm still maintaining the authentic version of myself, which is that I'm such a big kid. I'm
Yeah.
funny, I'm intelligent, I'm responsible. I am all these layered things. I'm an infinite being. And there's so much more for me to discover. And I love the freedom to discover and have adventures and look and see about different cultures. That's the kind of freedom that I'm setting up for myself right now.
Love it. I admire that, and I would love that as well. I used to say I always wanted an Anthony Bourdain in my life, where I just go
Yeah, you
around
said
and
that.
like
Yeah,
traveling fit.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
like my
yeah.
ultimate goal. Oh, I think I said that in the last one too. But
Hmm.
it's something that I don't know. There's something about expressing yourself, but also being able to have all these different types of cultures that you see, and you tend to realize, like, once you reflect on a lot of the things that you've gained over the years, especially learning these different cultures and being around these different people, it does really form you as a person as well. So you're not only just being formed by your past experiences with your family, or maybe a situation where you had with your friends or loved ones, but it's also the strangers that you meet as well. Like
Yes.
that
Any.
one
Yeah.
conversation, or that like one tiny moment of kindness kind of and it transforms you into a different person, into this better version of yourself. And I love it. Like every time I have
Yeah.
an experience, it's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the more experiences that you add to yourself, it can
Mm-hmm.
sometimes kind of change that mindset. Like I changed my mindset of what I thought about wealth being, and because that
Mm-hmm.
was the seed that was planted, and I realized that health is worth more than wealth, because what good is wealth when you're not healthy, when you don't have a healthy
Mm-hmm.
mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Mind, body, and spirit wellness is important to me. That's one of the things that I look to uh put into this business, that practice that I'm looking to start. I did take a class in holistic health. I went to that class. It took me a year to get through that class. It was a year long class. And I realized all the things. I think when you're healthy and you have a healthy mindset, your spirit is in alignment, you have this
Mm-hmm.
great
Mm-hmm.
well-being, you have the ability to do whatever. Like going for a walk, it doesn't you know, it's not an issue for me anymore, because I had some injuries from the military that when I did walk, I could only walk for 30 minutes because I started to experience the pain. But, it's different now, because I think some things are changing. Some practices that I put into place kind of help that. And spiritual practice is number one, that first and foremost is the most
Mm-hmm.
important. It's the foundation of your day, in my opinion. And I do have a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual practice that I change and I tweak, and I'm still developing. And as I evolve, that's going to change as well. And I realized too that my spiritual practice and some of the things that I put into place have given me a stronger sense of myself, and have an ability to come on camera and do this podcast with you. This is a huge thing. I did it once before, and then life got in the way. And now I'm really going all out. That's why I'm so excited. I cannot tell you how excited I am. This is, our third recording. And, it's really great that we're really digging in and having these meaningful conversations, because uh, to our listening audience, my daughter and I have had these sort of philosophical conversation for years. We've always been able to sit and have these very candid, very deep, very enriching conversations. And we
Mm-hmm.
had the idea to bring this forth. And I'm so excited and so proud that we're doing this. And we're just coming as our authentic self. We look different every single time, because I'm looking at our previous I'm looking at our previous recordings, and we look so different. We're always changing. And this is what life is. We're infinite beings. We're not going to be the same. The aesthetics is going to change. Our mindset is going to change. Things that how we do things are going to change. And that's the great thing about this life experience. I'm loving every bit of it. And some of the practices have really led me to learn myself. And that was always
Mm-hmm.
been my focus. I'm someone that's a little bit of an introvert. I sit with myself. I know how to be social, and I know how to get out there and be social, but I have really done a lot of internal work because of so many experiences that had, led me to a space that I didn't particularly care for. We're going to talk about mental health and depression, and I had that. I had what's called post traumatic stress disorder. That's something that, I am, currently working towards healing. And me part of that is me expressing myself and talking about it and healing from it, and using some of the tools that I've learned that I could use. There's so many tools that are out there right now, and really want to focus on having solutions to some of these things that we do express, and talk about, and expressing ourselves. And I think it's a huge thing, because we're releasing it out into the universe, for the universe to transmute it, and for us to help transmute all of those things that we're expressing about ourselves, that we need to get out, all of the great things, and sometimes the not
Mm-hmm.
so good things. But
Mm-hmm.
all of it is serving a purpose. and lens to our experience and for our highest good.
And also expressing yourself doesn't have to mean necessarily speaking about it too. People are a little bit more uncomfortable with being more open. You can journal. You can, I don't know, do a virtual diary. I call them like my tea talks in the car,
Hmm.
where I will talk about a lot of my thoughts and my feelings, like on my way to work or on my way to appointment that I had. So expressing yourself can mean many different things for many different backgrounds and people. Just keep mindful that don't hold it in, let it out, let your creativity speaks for itself too. So I know some people think that they might not be creative in different settings, but there's always a creative spark in someone. It might be reflected differently for someone else. So you might be able to paint really well. This other person's really good with numbers. So, just get out there and be more
Yeah.
expressive. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I've done the same thing too. I have a phone that has the voice notes on it, and I used to
Mm,
just like literally go into there and just when I felt the need, my thoughts. So I have
mm,
journaled on my phone with voice notes. I've actually journaled in an actual notebook that I have. I have several notebooks and notebooks like this where I do the notes as we speak, but then I also journal there as well. So, yeah, and I have done a video diary where I'm sitting in front of my computer because the laptops are made now, and even in MacBooks have something where you can just record yourself, and I see my expressions and my mood and how the things that I see, and I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've changed, I'm evolved from that particular thing that I was struggling with has cleared. And questions, and asking yourself the right questions, like, what is it that I truly need today? Do I need this
mm,
rest? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to draw? Do I need to light a candle? Do I need to light incense and get an aromatherapy? Do I need to do tapping? There's all these tools and modalities that are out there that are here for us to use
mm,
so we can de-stress, and express ourselves to declutter our mind. I do what's called, what did they call it? It's called a mind dump. So anything and everything that comes to my mind, I just write it. It can have no rhyme or reason. Like right now, okay, let me say for example, I could be thinking of cleaning my room, taking out the trash, going to the store, getting my nails done, writing this report. Uh, there's so many different things that we can use to help us kind of get
mm,
some of those things off our mind, because our mind never shuts off, even in meditation.
mm,
Excuse me. Initially, I thought meditation was making the mind silent. It's not.
mm,
It's sitting still in the awareness of your thoughts.
mm,
You have 1,000 thoughts, and as you start to sit and focus on the most, all the different things, and then, you don't have to write them down, or you can. I'm finding that meditation is not necessarily having your mind all over the place and it's just running, running, running. It's being mindful of the thoughts that you are having, and then unpacking them.
mm.
So, and it means something different for everyone. That's just my particular observation about it
I'm
when
trying
it
to
comes to.
see. When I meditate, I did think it was keeping the mind still at one point too when I first started, but as I start to do it a little bit more, it's more about looking. I take that time to look towards the future and what I want to do, and
Hmm.
then set personal goals for myself, like during that time. And then especially when I'm getting a massage, I don't know what it is. It's like euphoric. Like every time I get a massage, I have like a deep like epiphany in the middle of the massage, especially when it hits. I'm like, oh, this is what I need to do. I have one friend that said that when she gets a massage, she just thinks about how great it feels. I'm like, that's all you think about? I'm like, to each his own, to each his own, you know? But
Yeah, that
I
make
really do try to, I think
is that
in the
Oliver?
future. No, it's the dog downstairs. He's
Okay, okay,
howling.
okay,
I was
okay.
hoping. I don't know if you saw me looking around. It's like every time he howls, I'm like, please don't hear it.
It's okay. See, this is real time stuff that we're dealing with. I hear it.
Oliver.
Um, so,
Sorry, he was biting his nails.
aw. So I was going back as you were talking about that. We'll go back to meditation, but when you talk about when you're getting a massage, for me, when I get a massage, it's like whatever area that I feel them at, I imagine that being healed. Like I can
Mm,
literally like feel the energy dissipating, like whatever, because you have knots and that's, that tension and things like that is just, stuck energy. So
mm,
massage therapists and chiropractors, oh my gosh, they're like magic to me because it's like whatever tension that I'm feeling, I feel it kind of like crumbling and dissipating and the weight is being lifted off of me. So as you were saying that, I was going back to a memory when I had my last massage and how that particular massage felt because I'm typically sometimes I am talking like say if they're asking me questions about which area they want to focus on and then
mm-hmm,
when I'm in that present moment I do think that there's another exchange that happens where their hands are literally releasing those blockages, that stress. Like, I mean, I know that's what that is, but like literally visualizing it energetically, I think is a thing that I do too. So I just wanted to
mm,
just read something real quick because, I wanted to just make sure that or look up the definition and meditation and I'm just going to read this meditation and I'm getting this from Google AI. It's saying
mm,
this and it's according to the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. So, meditation is a practice where individuals use various techniques to focus their attention, cultivate mindfulness, and achieve calm and clear mental state, often involving a detachment from reflective thinking. So, key aspects focus and attention, mindfulness, emotional regulation, and varied techniques. So, for the longest time before I understood what meditation means for me, it was like meditation means keeping the mind still. There's no way that you can stop your mind from thinking. You're gonna,
mm-hmm,
but you can probably maybe lessen it, or your focus would be you tend to have a focal point when you're in
right.
meditation. So a lot of times I'm finding when I am in meditation, it's for me, it's almost like I'm starting from my head to my toe and in my
Mm-hmm,
head to my shoulders. Like I'm literally visualizing each of my body parts and the muscles and the structure and the circulation and the lymphatic. Like that's kind of how I'm feeling myself. And that's probably just one
mm.
form. So it's
Yeah.
interesting because
You're like
as
one with your body because you're feeling everything. Yeah.
yeah, you're like focus. I feel like I have something to focus on. My mind is still going about everything. It's in the back of my mind somewhere about the bills to
Mm,
pay, about the chores that I got to do, about the business that I had to do, about the client. Like all of that stuff is still there, but I feel
mm-hmm,
like I have a focus. I think my meditation is more like a focus in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm releasing this, and then I kind of like
mm,
start to focus on each. I think that's what I have evolved into. And there's also Reiki, which I'm learning. I have a book that I'm reading on Reiki. I read half of it and then I need to go back and reread it from start to finish. And I want to just do it from start to finish and not have that interruption because I feel like I get more out of books when I
mm-hmm,
stick with one book. Because at one point I would start one book, then get bored, and then go read another book, and then stop that book, and then go back. Or that because that's how I kind of my mind kind of worked. And
mm, mm, mm.
yeah, I feel like
Skipping around.
yeah, and now and there's this app on the phone that I use that has all, my fantasy, werewolf, Marvel comic type thing. I'm reading all that stuff.
Aww.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, so my and meditation can mean so many. Meditation could be reading, meditation can be
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
driving in the car. It's one thing that you're kind of focused and zoned in on. This is just so many different ways that we can use these tools to help us, with our awareness and things that we may have to heal within ourselves. So yeah, it's kind of deep. It's deep.
I love it. So we are going to pick up on meditation the next time we get on here because I do have to go. I have 30 minutes to drive to go to my appointment.
Right,
But
right.
if you want, we could. So sorry. If you want, we could pick up later because I'm probably gonna get home. I'm not doing anything else for the rest of the day.
Hmm.
I was supposed to, but
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna go and do my morning walk as well because I have been behind schedule. So yeah, so to our
okay.
listening audience, thank you for joining us. We are cutting it a little bit short today. So yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. You have been listening to Infinitely Gem and Tea, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.